Hello, good afternoon, girls. Today we learn a very interesting topic, that is reading skills. First, we learn about the concept of reading. A person is said to be knowing the language if he has ability to understand and speak the language. There are four skills of language, that is learning, reading, writing, and listening. Speaking proceeds rest of the skills. So reading is very important. When a child learns mother tongue, he comes in the practice of listening. All the people around him provide opportunities to listen the language. After that, as he grows older, he learns to speak what he has listened so far. So in this way, a child learns to understand and speak his mother tongue. Before starting speaking the language, sufficient practice in listening skill is essential. The goal of listening is that they should be able to recognize the sounds, stresses, and intonation of expressions in frequent use. So, respond to simple oral instruction is very important in these skills. Here we discuss the reading skills in different content areas and making connections between reading and presenting it in our writing. So what is reading? As you know, reading it is a cognitive process. It involves decoding symbols to arrive at meaning. It is also an active process because it constructs the meanings of words. It is also known to be as the thinking process. It allows the reader to use what he or she may reader uses strategies to understand what they are reading, uses themes to organize ideas, and uses textual clues to find the meaning of the new words. The definition of reading, we can say that it negotiates the meaning between the text and its reader. Now we will see the next point, the stages of process of reading. There are mainly three stages: pre-reading stage, during the reading stage, and after reading stage. This process involves recognizing the words leading to the development of comprehension. So, in the first stage, that is pre-reading stage, it allows the reader to activate background knowledge, preview the next test, and develop a purpose for reading. In this strategy, students utilize during this stage is to look at the title of selection and list all the information that comes to mind about the title. Second stage is during reading stage. When the reader makes the predictions as they read and then confirms. This is the second stage. And the last stage is after reading. In this stage, it allows the reader to retell the story, discuss the elements of the story, answer or questions, and or compare it to another text. These are the three stages of reading. Now we will see the next point, that is purpose of reading. Why reading is important? As we know, many people can read a text but hardly can understand what the writing was all about. So this is the because the reading was not providing any information to the reader. Why this is happened? This happened when the reader merely read the text without understanding the content. So it defeats the purpose of reading as a means to gain information. A major avenue of learning is through reading. So for that, reading purpose is important. Reading is very important in learning process. It gives a great effort to to develop reading skills. Although there are many ways have been promoted in order to improve reading skills among students, reading is still something that it seems problematic. Students can't understand the text. These problems occur because the students are lacking of vocabulary. Besides that, there are also several factors contributing to the difference of a particular skill. So those factors are from home, school, and from environment. So these skills are related to each other. The purpose of reading is that first is to group a certain message. It is very important purpose. Second purpose is to find important details. Third purpose is to acquire knowledge. In this we acquire the new knowledge by reading different types of books or context. Fourth purpose is to evaluate what we read. In this we can evaluate, after reading we can evaluate the text, why the text is important and it is related to the content. And last purpose is to answer specific questions. During exam we have to read books, and through that books we can write the questions. We can write the answers of specific questions. So these are the purpose of reading. Let's see our next point, that is components of reading. Mainly there are 5 main components of reading. First is phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness means these are the smallest units of sound that make up spoken words. And phonemic awareness is defined as the ability to focus on and manipulate phenomena in spoken words. Second component of reading is phonics. Phonics are a set of rules that specify the relationship between letters and sounds. Learning about phonics will help students to read and spell easily and accurately. It involves recognizing letter word sound relationship and then using those relationships to read connected text. Third component of reading is fluency. Fluency is the accurate and rapid recognition of the words in a text and using phrasing and emphasis in a way that makes what is read sound like spoken language. So fluency is very important component of reading. Fourth component is vocabulary. Vocabulary refers to the words that we use in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. A good vocabulary helps ease word recognition and thus makes reading easier. So vocabulary is also a very important component of reading. The last component of reading is comprehension. Comprehension is the final goal of reading. This involves being able to connect what has been read to what the reader knows, constructing meaning until the meaning is understood. So while teachers often focus on aspect of reading, it is important to understand that difficulties in this area are often a result of these defects in other aspects of reading. Teaching reading skills is every teacher's responsibility. So if a student is not taught the skills to access the text within a contest area, he will remain unable to access the information within that subjects. So we have to, as a teacher, we have to improve these components of reading of our students. Now our next point is strategies. Strategies for developing reading skills. There are mainly 2 strategies, skimming and scanning. Direct teaching, loud reading, modeling, discussion, small group support. These are some strategies which we use during reading skills. Skimming. Skimming involves running your eye very quickly over large pieces of text. Second is scanning, sweeping your eyes over part of a text to find specific pieces of information. And third is Freer model. Freer model is also very important in reading. First, we see the steps of skimming. One is read the title. While you are reading any content, read the title of that content. Read the first paragraph or the introduction. Third is read the first sentence of each paragraph. Fourth is read headings and subheadings. Fifth is notice any pictures, graphs or charts. Sixth is notice any italicized or boldface phrases of words. 7 is look for important pieces of the information such as names, dates or events. And last is read the summary of last paragraph carefully. These are the steps of skimming. While you read, at the time you have to use these steps of skimming. Now next point is definition of scanning. Scanning is a reading technique to be used when you want to find specific information quickly. At that time we use this method. In scanning, you have a question in your mind and you read a passage only to find the answer, ignoring unrelated information. This occurs in scanning process. How to scan? In this process, look at the question and identify what is asked for in it. Then, are you looking for digits like numbers or dates or specific words in sentences? So, keep the concept words in mind while scanning. It is important to understand how your material is structured as well as to comprehend what you read so you can locate the specific information you need. These are the important rule for scanning. When you read according to scanning, you have to remember these things in your mind. Next is Freer model. It is a graphic organizer for building the student vocabulary. So this model is very important in reading. It requires students to define target vocabulary and apply their knowledge by generating examples and non-examples, giving characteristics and drawing a picture to illustrate the meaning of the word. This is the Freer model. So as a teacher, when you explain any new context, you have to use this type of model in your teaching. Let's see this concept by an example. Use of Freer model by students. It developed the understanding of key concepts and vocabulary. Then draw prior knowledge to make connections among concepts. It compare attributes and examples. It develops to think critically, to find relationships between concepts and to develop deeper understanding of word meanings, and it make visual connections and personal associations. Let's see the example. In this example, this, at the center, you have to tell the term to the students and you can divide Freer model into 4 parts: definition, characteristics, examples and non-examples. You can use this model in your teaching. For example, the teacher should select a word that is an important concept to be learned. It can connect to other related terms. He has to give examples and non-examples of the applications. For example, student-friendly description of the term generally provided by teacher. In characteristics, it helps to students to identify them and distinguish that concept. At the time of examples, use synonyms, concrete applications, or relevant illustrations of the characteristics. And in non-examples, anatoms, inappropriate applications, or relevant illustrations that do not fit the characteristics. In this way, you can explain the new term in your teaching so that the concept is very, student can understand the concept very easily. Here one example, that is bullying. This concept, you can give the definition of bullying, then what are the characteristics of bullying. In that, to explain this concept, you can give examples and non-examples related to the bullying concept. Have you understood this concept? Prayer model? Okay. Now the next part we will see in our next lecture. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.